Thanks, Ryan. I'll wait for Dana. Yeah, I'll wait for Dana to tell me if we're good to go. Oh, we are good to go? Let her know. Okay. You guys ready? Awesome. Well, let's not talk into that. We'll get this bad feedback probably on there. Thanks for coming. You just walk across the street. That's easy. So, um, I mean, in reality, we could talk a little bit about the police and fire like we do every month. If you guys have anything more to add, talk about a little bit what's going on in the city. If you have questions to ask questions. We have people online that can ask questions. How many are online? Just two? Okay. And then what we'll do is when you ask a question, though, we need to have the microphone so they can hear the question online. Okay. So I'm going to actually just leave the mic since it's just with you guys, pass it around. I'm sure you have questions. You just got to turn it on. I'll turn it on for you. So do you guys want to start? Anybody?
Sure, I'll start.
Okay.
So just kind of a real brief, I don't know, I talk about this a couple of times at these town halls, but so currently in Star, we have 18 commissioned deputies that serve just the city of Star. And we do help out surrounding areas if in need, if there's what we call code 3 call that comes out, and that's an emergency call. We'll go outside the county to help out. But 18 commissioned here in city of Star. We have I call it the POP team, which is a problem-oriented police team, which is 2 deputies. That any issues that we're seeing that come up, they will focus on those issues to try to resolve the problem. For instance, I know there's been a lot of activity at the Star Pond lately. With that being an attraction for the hot weather, people are swimming down there, and sadly enough, we get people who are drinking also and end up making not so good choices. So we've had our POP team down there helping with that. It's been a great asset to the city of Star to have this team. They're also focused majority of their time on traffic enforcement. I just gave a report last night to City Council of the traffic here in Star that we ended up writing 68 citations the month of June. 57 of those were infractions, which is just traffic infractions, and 11 of them were misdemeanors. The good news is with the increased amount of traffic stops that we're doing, we had 1,969 total calls for service in the month of June. With the increased amount of traffic enforcement we're doing and getting drugs off the street, one of the things I really liked last night that I presented to City Council was we didn't have any, all the drug arrests had to do with marijuana. So we didn't see any meth, we didn't see any fentanyl in the month of June, month of June, which I'm really excited about to see those more hardcore drugs not being as big as an issue. Now, again, this month might be different, but at least in the month of June is a win that it was just misdemeanor marijuana charges, which I'm glad here in the state of Idaho, we still charge for marijuana. I think I could talk about the response time, that our response time went up a little bit in June, but our average response time is 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Which I know when somebody calls 911, seconds matter. We want our deputies to be there as fast as possible. So I really appreciate the amount of support that the community gives us. I really appreciate the mayor and the city council, the amount of support that they give us, that we're doing well with this upcoming budget. We're looking at adding a couple more, possibly an admin sergeant, and then actually a canine deputy that'll be a narcotics canine that we'd have full-time here in Star, which we've never had before. Which will be a huge asset to our agency. So that's kind of a quick synopsis. Is there any questions for Star Police?
And I just, when you talked about the time went up last month on response times, we had Star Road goes down, which for anybody, so just everybody's aware, there's over 14,000 vehicle trips a day that travel up Star Road. And when they shut that down, that throws that 14,000 right on the Highway 44 because there's no other bridges between here and Middleton. Almost 70% of the 20,000 vehicle trips a day that run through Highway 16 originate out of Canyon County. So that's a lot of vehicles that are coming from Canyon County through the city of Star. And so when you're forcing all of that this way, that creates a big problem and slowdown for these guys and these folks and obviously all of us, right? Some of the good things that came out about that, I'm just going to talk about it real quick, is in all the discussions with trying to work with ITD and ACHD on trying to figure out how we can get the traffic to flow, they discovered none of the lights were even timed from Linder Road all the way through Star to operate in sync. And so they were able to go out there during that time frame and adjust the timing of the lights, even the left turns, off of the north-south routes and stuff like that, so we could get more traffic that flow through town. And that actually improved our traffic flow. And then we saw them adjust, they got to the next phase of that project at 16 and 2026, which opened up 2 lanes finally all the way up to 2026 and had some dedicated turn lanes going left and right, east and west. And that helps out with our flow. And it's a good thing that they did this shutdown now because we have plans. We've been working with ACHD for them to do a full improvement on Star Road, which means a new bridge. They're going to have to figure out a way to keep that bridge open while they're building a new bridge, because now they've realized that with this shutdown that happened, what kind of a traffic impact it makes for everything here in this side of the valley. And then it also put in the forefront a little bit of the Kingsbury crossing we're trying to get over the river in Canyon County. So if we can ever get that project finalized with the highway departments, that'll alleviate a lot of this traffic that's coming through here by providing an avenue for folks to get south on another route, because it's 7 miles almost between Star and Middleton's Bridge. That's a lot, right? There's only 2 access points. It's about 7 miles on the local road. So granted, it was painful, but it was a lot of lessons learned on that. And so I'm sorry, let me grab that out. Let me give it to you and grab it out of your hand. You can take that because I got this. But go ahead, just speak into the microphone because we got people online too.
Since we're talking about traffic, I was just wondering if you made any progress on the floating feather across 16.
That's a great question. I'm going to tell you right now, we are not going to get the full access Highway 16. We just had our meeting yesterday with ITD. With them and their consultants are all holding to that. We'll have an overpass, which will take us down to Palmer, which would be another light. However, with that, I have made some pretty heavy requests, I guess, with them that they escalate the improvements of this road right here, not because they pushed out another 2 years on us. I want them to do it next year, right? Get it going next year. The designs on this is almost done. They said it'll be done in the spring. They can bid it out and they can get this widening done, which will help us out here. Okay, sorry, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Go ahead.
What we're concerned about are people who live north of Floating Feather. All the traffic in that whole area, we're north of Beacon Light,
Yep.
is going to go down Beacon Light.
So there
And
is.
it's starting to get bad.
It is. It's already is bad. But I will tell you, so let me clarify this. Dana said, what is this? This means this road right here, right? Highway 44 in front of City Hall all the way to Highway 16. Okay, then we got to get that open up to 4 lanes. That Valnova project, I think it's called Valnova, is that right? In Eagle, that's up north in the foothills. They are required, we found this out yesterday, when they hit, I think it's like 400 homes, 500 homes built up there, that they have to do a full intersection improvement and stuff there at Beacon Light and Highway 16, which is going to change the traffic flows on that as well. ITD's master plan has frontage roads going from Pollard up to, Deep Canyon, and then up to that new bridge that's going to be up there where Valnova goes on the east side, and also on the west side, on the east side all the way down to Beacon Light, on the west side to Pollard. So you're going to have some different flow opportunities to get on the Highway 16 there. Plus they'll have a right in, right out at the Pollard access on the Highway 16 there. So Beacon Light is they have a long-term plan of this full interesting interchange that they're going to do there, right? Which will flow with the stoplights underneath the interchange, which creates these crazy, they worry about weaves. I think that's going to create a lot of weaves on there. But in the long term, you'll see that be done there. Now, ITD did say, so the Highway 16 and Highway 44 intersection, the overpass where 16 is going to go over 44. They delayed that to bid until the springtime of 2025 because they're extending the project all the way almost to the new floating feather on widening out that way. They wanted to get that segment of state highway done with this over Highway 16 bridge done. So you're not bringing all those people off the bridge into a single lane right there. They could extend it out and bring it into a single lane a little bit further down. Yeah. So that's our challenge. We can't get it. We've been trying, we've been fighting with them. We're going to write a letter saying that if they're going to do that, we need this stuff done right away. The floating feather through that, what's the name of the development on floating feather in the 16? Why can't I think of that? It's those Rosti Farms. Yeah, it's not that called that anymore. Heirloom Ridge. That main entrance into both sides of Heirloom Ridge there is actually a neighborhood collector that is going to be anticipated to come all the way down to Greylock, so you can get out the light that's going to be at Moyle. And that's going to help. And part of what we said yesterday is I want you to buy the right of way, and I want you to make those improvements before you shut off that access to floating feather right there. That you have to get that done, right? We can't wait for the development world because you never know when it'll get done to get that done. Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, sorry. I forget to give you this. She was concerned about New Hope, Beacon Light, and all the homes. Yeah. So anyway, I kind of went into a long story about traffic, the things that we're working on right there. Anything else? No?
Any other traffic questions?
Any other traffic questions? I'm sure there's a lot of traffic questions, but we're working through it. The one thing that people need to understand is as a city, we do not control any of our roads here in Ada County, or even on the Canyon County side for the city of Star. We are at the mercy of the planning of those other taxing districts, the ACHD, Canyon Highway District 4 or Highway District 4, and ITD. There is an integrated 5-year work plan out for our future on ACHD's website. And I encourage everybody, I think we have that. Do we have a post on our city site or just on Facebook? It's on our Facebook site, the link. You're going to put it on the website? Okay, so you can put it on the website. But I encourage everybody to go on there and click on the projects in Star and put your support to get it done sooner than later, right? So they're going to start in, originally the Star Road was not going to be done until 2035. We start looking at the concept, and we've been pushing and on that. And now they're doing the concept in next year in 2025. We got them to move it up 10 years on that. But I need as many people as we can to go on there and hammer that and say, yes, we need this done. We need it done now. Because it's a vital route for our city, north and south, because we go all the way to Chinden on there. Hang on one second.
Sorry.
This is what it's for. Ask the questions.
We were just at the, what was that? We saw the maps for the improvement for the bike. and
pathways.
Oh, the pathway thing? Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that, because we're bike riders, and one of the things that I had made a note about was that it would be great if we could get some kind of overpass from the north down to the river across State Street. Is that an ITD?
It's
thing?
going to be an
CHD,
ITD
is
cost.
So
Yeah.
it probably won't work.
So there won't be I could almost tell you there will never be an overpass in Star for that kind of stuff here. There's just not the room. Well, they have the underpass at that one location by the church down there, right? But the difference between that's a rural highway segment where there is no stopping on it, and we have stops all along this with lights on an urban setting. They're going to utilize the lights with expanded pedestrian facilities to get bikes across. So just so you're aware, no, but if they at least you get a red light so you can drive across the road without having to try to play Frogger and get across the road, right? But what we do have, our plan is to have the Greenbelt connected here to the main Greenbelt system here in the next couple of years with ITD running that from Highway 16 all the way down to Valentine. Is that what it is? What's down there where the Dutch Brothers is in Eagle, right off Highway 44? So they're going to connect all that. As a city, we put in for some grants with the state with all the road money that they've been putting out there to replace the bridges in the state. They're given opportunities to utilize some of those old historic bridges for pedestrian facilities. And we're getting one from Horseshoe Bend that'll connect some of the stuff by the river house. And we're in the running for a 290 footer from northern Idaho that would be utilized to span the river to get to that so we can connect from Star Road all the way that direction, which would be awesome to have. It'll save us a ton of money on getting that done. So we do have options to get there, but you're just going to have to hit those lights. We are putting out here at these crosswalks, we're putting some lighted pedestrian flasher things to help with. They won't let us put the arms over anymore like they have over here, but it'll be the side lights where you hit that and it flashes, so at least it alerts drivers, folks that are at those intersections. So, all right, sorry, go ahead. Your turn.
All questions are
He
good.
did ask. Is there anything online, Dana, about that? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So fire district, I'll give you a quick synopsis of it. We have 2 fire districts, so we operate as one. Star Fire District, we have 23 full-time firefighters, and maintenance division and administration. And in Middleton side, we have 13 full-time firefighters and a couple administration, and we operate as one. Together, we have 165 square miles. 55 of those square miles is Star, 110 square miles is Middleton. We cover all the way from what Mayor was talking about, part of that Valanova subdivision, all the way to the other side of the freeway and into Gem County. So the north section of all this. And then we also go across the river and we cover down to 11th Avenue extension on Highway 2026 on the north side. So pretty big area. We do that with 3 fire stations. We have 2 engines and a truck and a battalion chief every day. Excuse me. They're in operation every single day. And we are desperately trying to keep up with the growth that everybody has seen in this 165 square miles. As you folks may be aware of, we went for a levy increase in May and failed miserably. We had to fail that or pass that with a 67%, and I think we're in the 40% range. And we learned some lessons during that campaign, I guess you would call it, that property taxes aren't the same in all states. Was one big thing. So I have these flyers that I'll pass out at the end. Tomorrow is our first public information session. The first topic is, what is a fire district and how is it funded in the state of Idaho? Because we learned that it's funded, fire departments are funded a lot differently in other states. And when other fire departments in other states raise their levy rate, it is permanent and it permanently stays up. And so we advertised that we were doing a permanent levy increase, which it is. But as property values increase and as growth continues, those levy rates they're forced down in our state. If you're not aware of that, they go down. So we're advertising a $53.80 some cents in Star that it would be per $100,000. That was based off of last year's property values, because that's what they make us use when we advertise that. And we had $818 million of increased value in the fire district in 2020 for that year that we didn't get to add in yet. So that number would have never been 53. It would have gone down, but state statute says we can't explain it that way. We have to explain it from the previous year. So there's a lot of things that we learned during that process that we hope that we can get folks into the fire station and educate. We're doing another one in Middleton on July 23rd, 3:30 in the afternoon. And we hope we get people so we can teach them that it's not necessarily the same as where they came from, because we have a lot of new folks here in both communities. Besides that, our call volume is still increasing. I did a report last night, I didn't bring a copy with me, but report last night, and we are up probably 8% for the year. We're at almost 900 calls so far this year, so we're on track for, if we split it in half, we're on track for 1,800 just in Star. The first week of July, we had 57 calls, and that's kind of normal with fireworks season and everything, but we did not have any structure fires in Star during the 4th of July. I know it's hard to believe when you're looking in the air thinking, wow. But we did not in Middleton. We did have one that was caused by fireworks, but it was actually somebody cleaned up their mess, but didn't put those spent fireworks in water. You got to put them in water, and he put them in a garbage can, threw it up against the side of his house, caught the side of his house on fire at 3 o'clock in the morning, which got into the attic and so on and so forth. But we had a few grass fires and just a lot of people calling and wanting us to go check because they seen smoke. And so that took up a lot of the calls on the 4th of July. Besides that, if you have any questions about the fire district, happy to answer them. Microphone.
You want to hold on to it? I'll just leave it with you for right now.
Are you with building that facility on Floating Feather? How far away are you? And how is the non-access to 16 going to affect?
So we still plan on starting that in September. The contractor hopes to get it dried in before it gets really cold. That is still, we're still moving forward with that. That's all paid for by impact fees. We have the money to do that. The non-access to Highway 16 off of Floating Feather is disappointing. But we're still going to be able to get to the northern part of our district faster from there by just going up Pollard to Beacon Light and getting on. I mean, we have Opticom on all those lights, so we can turn all those lights as we're coming. It's a disappointment that they won't give us access that way, but I mean, I've talked to them. I know Trevor's talked to them. They control the highway system.
It's going to be, you can hold on to it. I'm sure you got more coming, so. Oh, you got one. So what some of the reasoning for not giving us the access is they're going to do 2 mile spacing like a highway, like a freeway, so the traffic can flow. The one thing though is at one point they were talking about just cul-de-sacking it. But we got the overpass so that they can access the citizens that they serve on the other side of Highway 16 there. So at least we can get across and service that, and they can hit Beacon Light and go up. We tried working with them to even just give these guys a northern and southern access where they similar Opticon, where it opens a gate and they just go down on the freeway. And they're not willing to do that right now either. But that may change. Doesn't mean not forever, right? We do have the right of way in there to do that stuff, but at least we got the overpass going and we can get them to work on some of these other things for us in the city. So, yeah. You had a question? That's all right. You can just ask it.
So actually, I have 2 questions that are not related. I haven't been able to get to the Star Sewer and Water yet, but regarding the flyer they just sent out on water quality, it seemed like every one of the things that they test for is right at the upper limit. You know anything about that? And is
He
that,
does, I think. Do you know that?
No, I don't. I
Oh,
don't. I am on the Sewer and Water District Board,
let
but
me, can I see that?
I
No,
don't.
the flyer.
I don't have that information readily available in this brain.
they're not in violation, but they're like right at the top.
Yeah, so, well, I think this is interesting to me. I think you need to ask them. I think, Greg, you need to take a picture of that and ask them, because it's almost like that they just wrote the same number down on the right on all that. Because there's, to me, there's no statistical way that you can be at the top on every one of those. Because our water quality is really good. And I know they do testing. Well, okay, it's good. I mean, we have some of the better water quality in the valley here in the city of Star. I'm going to tell you that right now. I know they asked that for testing on several places, and you know, like at my house, I'll go and I'll do the fill up the stuff, give it to them, they turn it in, and or put it as part of the report. So we'll have to get an answer for you on that. Can't answer that right now on that. So. Okay, oh, microphone right there, right behind you. You have to use the microphone. I need to sign that real quick. Do you have a pen? That's all right. I would have rather, I'm gonna talk about that too. by
My
the way. That's a
question
good idea.
is for all three of you, and it actually affects everybody in here and everything that we've discussed. And my question is, do you have a plan A and a plan B for illegal immigration?
A plan A and a plan B.
Yep.
So plan A is if it's, I mean, what do you want us to do? I mean, here, I'm gonna get on a soapbox for a minute, and I hope I don't piss you off. I hate to say this. Illegal immigration is a very interesting subject in the state of Idaho. We have legal immigration, which is mostly what we see. A lot of people post pictures of vans with immigrants on them. You need to understand there's an immigrant camp that's right down the highway here that they constantly, and I'm a ranching family that utilizes these immigrants. Okay, so just to put it in perspective. These immigrants are here for the right reasons. We do have an illegal immigration problem at the southern border. No question about it, right? The city of Star, we don't have any authority to do anything specifically with illegal immigration because it's a federal thing. We can't do anything. I can't arrest people. He can't just go arrest somebody on suspicion of illegal immigration. He can't go ask people for papers. That's, to me, that's a problem, right? If you have somebody, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you have somebody that has done a crime, and then you can ask further information, and at that point, they can take care of that. But there's nothing the city of Star can do to simply say, we're not going to have illegal immigration, because I can't enforce that. I have no way of doing that. But we got to be careful and not to villainize the folks that are here for the right reasons, because there's a bunch of them that work our farm fields, and they work their tails off out here, and they've been doing it for 100 years in the state of Idaho. Well, but the thing is, we can't ask it. We just can't go up to somebody on suspicion that you're an illegal immigrant and say, I need to see your papers. You can't do that. That's illegal. That's in the United States of America. That's not how we're founded and based on. The illegal immigration is a problem, no doubt in my mind, right? Coming across the border. That is an issue that needs to be resolved at the federal level. If we do have a crime, we could do it. But I want to make sure people aware, don't villainize the folks that are out here working our fields, right? I hear, and I'm gonna go around on my soapbox. We have people complaining about growth on farm fields and stuff. Well, if we're going to villainize these folks that are not here to work it, none of those kids that are in high school today have a work ethic in their bone almost to go out there and work these fields like we did when we were kids, right? No wonder these guys are selling them, because the cost of trying to do this business as farming is going up because they can't get the appropriate people in there. I just want us to be careful on how we're classifying illegal immigration and the person it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a challenge for me with that. I want the border fixed. but we are limited in what we can do as a local level for that. The thing that Eagle passed just the other day, what does that mean?
That means that the citizens of Eagle will not be financially
Right.
supporting. And I say, when someone comes into our country illegally, they are a criminal.
They are.
Because it's a criminal act, and then they get a false ID, and they continue to
But
live.
how do you prove that without going up and violating somebody else's right by making people show paper? That means that you can be subject to that. You can be subject to that. Undue search of you for an ID. This is where we got to be careful. They are in here illegally. You can answer more of this probably with that. It's a serious challenge that we have, but we got to be careful to protect the rights of the Constitution of people that are here, that are citizens too. Because we have plenty of Hispanic folks, plenty of Asian folks that are citizens of the United States. And do we treat them unfairly because we're afraid of some that came across the border illegally?
No, and that's not what I'm saying, and I'm not villainizing anybody that is here legally. But I guess coming from California,
I
I've
know.
heard these same things before, and that's one reason we are in Idaho right now. And I read today, Denver, and this will affect all of us in here.
Yeah.
Denver just cut this, I think in April, $41 million from their budget for first responders to take care of the illegals that are in Denver.
I get it.
And I've called Mike Moyle's office, haven't been able to get in touch with them, called the governor's office, called Raul Labrador's office, and everybody tells me something different. I mean, at Brad Little's office, he said, well, can we protect the border somehow? And she goes, well, that would be a huge undertaking. And I thought, well, let's look at California and see what happened. So I've heard this before. And again, that's one reason
Sure.
that we are here. And I think, and I have a copy of what was passed in Eagle, and to me, that makes perfect sense.
I haven't read it, but my challenge is when it says they will not be a sanctuary city, right?
Right.
Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean that I'm not a sanctuary Second Amendment city anymore? Well, but the way it's being portrayed is that they are not a sanctuary city. We're trying to protect the Second Amendment here. If I were to pass something similar to that, it takes away that right.
Isn't, the way I read it would be a sanctuary city for criminals, people that are here illegally.
But we can't just say all criminals because it'd be illegal immigrant criminals.
I know you guys are between a rock and a hard place, and I
Yeah.
understand that, but that was also, again, the downfall of California.
Sure.
And us along with, we're not the Lone Ranger that left our kids and our grandkids
Oh, I understand that.
to
So-
come to a safe state.
Yeah.
And when I see and when I feel and when I suspect, and at times I do stereotype
Mhm.
because I've seen it. I lived it for years and years. I mean, I saw the white buses with the black tinted windows and trying to go to Marshall's to shop, and the manager telling me, you'd be safer to come back at 9 o'clock in the morning because the hotel where they stayed, they would walk over the overpass and come and just take over Walmart and
Sure.
Marshall's and Target to the point where, none of us felt safe.
But do you feel safe in Star?
I feel safe in Star, but I want to continue to feel safe in Star.
So this is where we, as a city, we follow the Constitution, the laws, all the stuff that are on the books. We hire more police officers here. We have the lowest crime rate in the city, and we continue to hire police officers for that. I don't need to have a statement like this that's going to create a problem for other things for us either, right? I'm against illegal immigration. They're not for illegal immigration, but we got to follow the US Constitution, which is the number one thing that I have to follow and that I want to follow as a citizen, as a former military guy, as a son of the American Revolution. My family was part of the American Revolution. She was a daughter of the American Revolution. All these values hold true to me, the US Constitution, and I'm going to abide by them. And I'm not going to violate people's rights because we fear a certain demographic. I won't do that. I know how we are going to be in Star. I can't say what Boise is going to be. I can't say what Caldwell is going to be. I can't say what Denver is ever going to be. But I can say what Star is going to be. And I don't have to have a document to do that. I put my police in place. I put the money in place, try to find funding for it. And we uphold the laws of the land to make sure we do it. But we can't violate the Constitution to uphold those laws. That just doesn't work. That's the degradation of our Constitution if we do that. We just got to be careful on what we're doing. City of Star does not have the funding to help anybody. We only have the funding to, because 100% of our property tax money, every bit of it goes into our police budget, and it's clearly stated in my budget. My budget presentation that's 36 pages long says 100% of the property tax money goes to fund our police. That's your money going there. And that's what we stand for, is to make certain that the laws of the land are upheld in the city of Star. But I can't do anything outside the city limits of Star. I can only do what's here. I'm not trying to discredit what you're saying, because I understand the fears. I have family that lives in California that says the same thing. But I know how we can handle that here locally in the in the city of Star. But I want Zach to talk about it, Chief, real quick, just so we can answer your question too, because it's not just, no, hold on, Zach, 'cause you may have some more questions.
And let me just kind of, the best of kind of explain what the mayor's saying is 100% accurate on us. We got to be very careful on how we address someone that we think is an illegal immigrant. So just know that the sheriff, Matt Clifford, and all the police chiefs are well aware of the social media accounts of buses coming through and different things that some people believe are illegal immigrants. I mean, one of them at one point said it was at Costco, and it was actually the bus coming in to play Boise State University. It was actually their basketball team, but it got spread on social media that it was one of these buses that had all these illegal immigrants. So I struggle with social media just because they take a little bit of a truth and then they make it into something that's really not true. But I do know that we did have a bus come through that stopped, I think, on Fairview, and they end up, because about every 3 hours, every bus you ride will stop for food and water, and then for people to use restrooms, that type of thing. And so they did stop, and it had what people are saying, a lot of illegal immigrants, and they got back on the bus and kept going through. We're keeping an eye on that. We're trying our best to make sure we know of any bus that comes through. We do have people that go through social media and try to find that stuff out. When it comes to us, though, we have to work with ICE, which is a federal government agency that deals with illegal immigration. And sometimes it can be pretty difficult to get a federal agency to step in when we have an illegal immigrant that we have. Now, us as local law enforcement, if we have somebody that's committing a crime, we have every right to stop that person, detain them, and get what their name is, date of birth, social security. They have to give all that information if we can have probable cause that a crime has been committed. Now, probable cause, to put it in a kind of easy way to look at it, is I'm 50.1% sure that this person committed a crime. And I have that evidence to show that a reasonable, prudent person would say, yep, I agree that there's a good chance they committed that crime. So if I have probable cause, I can detain somebody, and then I can get their information. If they're not willing to give their information, then they go to jail until they're willing to give that information. And that's where some of these illegal immigrants, we get caught because they don't have they don't give their name, right? But then on the other side of that is reasonable suspicion. Now, if I have reasonable suspicion, I can stop and detain you. But if I only have reasonable suspicion, so I'm not probable cause, I can't really I can't arrest anybody on that, right? I can only try to get the information necessary for that. But I still have to have reasonable suspicion. That's more than articulating that this person looks like they're not a legal person here in the United States. I can't do that in law enforcement because it'd be against the Constitution. It's against the Fourth Amendment, right? So I can't legally stop somebody just because I look at them and think, yep, I don't think they're allowed to be here. Nor do we ever, I think, want to go down that path. And so, long story short, what I'm trying to say is if there's illegal immigrants that are coming here and committing crimes, we'll find them because sooner or later we'll find the people that are committing these crimes. We have a very high, especially in STAR, percentage of stopping crimes and researching back through. If you look at our property crimes and our person crimes, we close out a very high percentage of those crimes with an arrest. Luckily here in STAR, we haven't had any issues with that. I do know there's special visas out here that illegal immigrants come and work the farms, which I think a lot of Idaho farmers are grateful for. And they're good people that are coming here for the right reasons. But we do have people that do come every once in a while for the wrong reasons to either sell drugs or those type of things. But I can tell you that the nice thing about the state of Idaho, and especially the city of STAR, is they're very law enforcement supportive, meaning we can still do our jobs. I just talked about the drug crimes here in STAR. We had four drug charges that turned into 8 because they had not only marijuana, but paraphernalia as well. So in a whole month of June, we only had 4 people that had marijuana on them and paraphernalia, which is like a tool to use to smoke the marijuana, right? It's 2 separate charges, but only 4 cases on that. So what's nice is we're the surrounding states around us doesn't care about marijuana. They'll allow marijuana, and they don't allow even law enforcement to get involved really in the marijuana. Or I mean, there's a lot of states around us that you get a citation for having methamphetamine, which is a felony in the state of Idaho. And so what's neat is so far, and hopefully it stays this way, and I'm glad that we have people that are passionate as you are. Hopefully it stays this way, that we continue that support, that we continue processing and charging these people with drugs, because as soon as we stop doing that, that's when you're going to see a lot more problems come, like what you saw in your state that you came from.
People coming in.
So,
And I think the POP team also, with the amount of people that they pull over, right? I mean, let's say an illegal's driving a car and they pull them over, well, that's really where they're going to bust them in situations like that, right? But we don't have, in STAR, we don't have, I have not seen any of that anywhere around STAR at all. To be
Well,
honest with you.
that's why I asked if you
Yeah.
had a plan A and a plan B, because I mean, we hear it on a daily basis that, they couldn't violate the person's constitutional right or whatever. And then there's dead children and dead females. And I mean, you know where
And we
I'm
hear
going
it,
with
but-
this.
But we
And-
also put it in perspective on where that's happening right now too, is where most of those folks are going, are these bigger cities, right? Because you look at what Texas has done to do with that. They've been busting them all over the place, right? Out of their state, because they don't want to handle that.
Denver's
Denver, New
Denver's
York.
doing the same.
Yeah,
But that's why I want to be reassured that, and I do feel extremely safe in STAR,
yeah.
but I want to continue to feel that way. And I understand the social media in this group that I belong to, and I've spoken up. I mean, I'm very familiar with the buses, and I know every bus that you see, because we did the same thing over the village. I was so happy to see these young athletes get off the bus, and I was very happy about that. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, on social media, they post, well, here's a picture of the bus and the people loitering at these strip malls. Well, obviously, if the bus is still sitting there, they have not dropped them off, and they're going to pick them up and take them wherever. So I know social media to a certain point fuels the fire,
It does feel the fire, yeah.
but I'm just very concerned, and I guess, coming from California and what I saw happen there, I just want to kind of finish with this. Just remember why you came here, right? Because we're strong, compassionate folks that believe in the Constitution and stuff, and the rule of law, right? We're going to follow that, and we're going to maintain that environment here in the state of Idaho.
we don't need to, I get frustrated with the news. That's all you hear. In fact, we got some local news guys that all they want to do is dig up dirt and provide negative stuff, right? I always say, how about you talk about the positive? Because the negative is what you're hearing. You don't hear anything about the positive, right? What about the families here that, Rustic Table, right? That bought that local family, running that. You don't hear stories about stuff, positive things like that.
watched that online. It was
Right?
heartwarming.
Well, online,
Yes.
but not in the news, right? That's what I'm saying is we don't hear the good stuff that's going out there. So of course, our minds are being polluted with the negative crap that continues to be thrown at us. But we are protecting it as much as we can here, and we haven't seen a problem. And just rest assured, we have in our comprehensive plan, we have a requirement that we want to hit of 18 crimes or less per thousand citizens here, 4 minute or less response time, 1 to 1,000, 1 officer to 1,000 people. Just last night, we put mitigation fees in place 2 years ago. They were like 1,200 and 1,080 or something like that. Last night, we increased those mitigation fees. We tripled them. So we can add more police officers to our unit, that we can put a K-9 unit out there that's going to help us with some of this, right? And they will catch, if we have that kind of a situation here, they will see that. They'll catch them at some point. And hopefully it's not what you talked about, the murders of children or the women or whatever, right?
Well, and when
And we don't
somebody's
have
been
that.
incarcerated and let out and incarcerated again, let out, and then,
And that's a different story.
yeah.
That's a
So
different issue. That's not immigration issue. That's a different issue.
I appreciate what you're doing
Yeah.
to keep us all safe, and
And I didn't mean it, hope you don't think I jumped on you about it.
No.
But I hear about it daily.
I'm sure you do.
And it's just like, I just want to make sure that this is what we're doing as a city of Star. I want people to understand that, right? To protect that. So,
Well, I feel very
Yeah.
safe here. Every time we go somewhere and we hit wing,
oh yeah,
I say to my husband, home sweet home.
home sweet home.
Had-
Come on back.
Trident Ridge. But thank
Yeah,
you.
you're right up here by
Thank you
Chief.
for keeping us
You're in the
safe.
safest neighborhood up there.
You got good neighbors, so.
Right. You're in Trident Ridge. You got Chief up there. And probably, I'm gonna just tell you, the city of Star is well positioned because we have so many retired law enforcement. We have chiefs from different cities in the valley that live in the city of Star. We have deputy chiefs that live in the city of Star. They all want to be part of what we have, and we have a pretty cool community and pretty safe community just because of the people. Yeah.
Literally, there's no.
You want to go swimming at the pond?
In this nation
Just-
that I would rather be
Right.
than Star Island.
Yeah, good.
We absolutely love it, and thank
Yeah.
God that we're here. And I want it to continue to be safe.
And we're doing that. We're working on that. But let us know, let him know, he's your neighbor, if you see some stuff up there. So,
Zach, have you heard of Hudson and Rex? The show.
I haven't, huh?
here, talk in the microphone real quick there for me.
I was just asking if Zach had heard of Hudson and Rex. It's a show, and
Not a very good.
yes, basically it's police department that has a dog, and so I was just thinking that it'd be Zach and Rex.
There we go.
Zach and Rat. That's awesome. Well, that means you have to have the dog. Can't do that. Did you have a question?
Isn't that the Caldwell Police Chief's name? Rex?
Yes, Rex. Yeah, the Caldwell Police Chief's name is.
He lives in Star.
So we have the Caldwell Police Chief that lives in Star. His name is Rex. So we got Zach and Rex.
So, question, just infrastructure.
Uh-huh.
Keep hearing so much about the overworking of the electrical grid across the country and stuff. Just wondering what kind of a plan Star has in case of the electric grid goes down for extended period of time, backup power, utilities, that sort of thing.
So Idaho Power does all the power stuff here in our area. They actually have a pretty robust system. I did what was it called? Power 101 or something like that with Idaho Power, where we went and visited their facilities and their main hub. I will tell you, about 8 years ago, Star would have had a challenge because we had this whole line right here that you see right down the middle of the town was an old line. If it would have went down, we could have been out for days. power. Idaho Power has upgraded everything in the city of Star over this last 8 years, and we don't have an issue with that. Idaho Power has the ability to switch power. They're on a national grid. So if something were to go down locally, they get power from somewhere else. It took them 20 years to get this Boardman line approved, that they're going to start attaching another line to the Boardman area. I think it's Oregon or Washington, wherever Boardman is up there. I drove by it. Where is it? Washington. I drove by it on my vacation last week. So I was like, wow, that's where it's going, right? I figured that out now. But it attaches to the main grid system up there, so it continues that network connectivity here. Idaho Power has power that comes from many sources. They have it from hydro. This is the biggest one for the state of Idaho, right? They still have coal. They're trying to get out of the coal business, but they still have coal. They have wind and they have solar and natural gas. If you go out towards New Plymouth off the highway, there you'll see these big pipes in the air and stuff. That's a natural gas power plant there. Down in Boise, they have this wall that's massive. I mean, it's a huge wall. It's a big screen. And it shows every single station that we have in the valley, or in their whole, not the valley, but in their whole network. And it shows the different power producing plants and stuff. So when wind, for instance, if they don't have enough wind power, you know, they can increase solar if the sun's up, or they can increase hydro if they have to, right? Or they can increase gas. They can adjust it to meet the demands that we have. You guys weren't here during the years when we had some brownouts during this hot weather here, where your power would go down because everybody was trying to use their air conditioning and stuff. We haven't had that in any of this right here.
Right.
So for the city here, all of our critical stuff has generators. So if it does go down, we could continue functioning here. It wouldn't help the citizen side of it. But I mean, unless I know people put their own generators I've seen it here in Star because of what they've experienced in California, right? They've been putting generators in their systems.
City Star, that's like, I'm thinking like sewer and water.
Sewer and water, same thing.
They have backup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they got backup to make sure that flows and stuff like that. Because that was a challenge when everything would go down. How do if I flush my toilet, how many times could I do that? Right?
No, the sewer and water has a generator at every lift station, sewer treatment plant, every well. I mean,
Yeah.
So
So you'll still have fresh water.
for a day or two.
oh yeah.
Okay.
And then it can go, I mean, they can get the fuel in there and stuff like that too. We have tanks for this city that we have that if they ran out of gas, the city has tanks of fuel that we utilize for our fleet stuff, right? That we can go fill up these generators if we needed to in the city. So we don't really have an issue with that critical infrastructure if the power goes down. Idaho Power has been very good at getting in front of that and trying to create that network. So we don't have the Texas situation, right? Where they're on an island of themselves and they froze up and had no power, some of those folks for a week, right? So it's a good thing. And then let's say we have, God forbid, that we have a tornado that comes through and wipes out a main line here. Well, they can shift the power to the rest of the citizens over here from a different segment, utilizing that big operation room to make sure everybody else is on, right? So there's ways to do all that. So we're pretty good with that. Oh,
Regarding Idaho Power. Idaho Power is relatively self-sufficient.
Yep.
They actually sell more than they import off the grid.
correct.
If the grid goes down, they're kind of isolated from that.
They can produce the power that we need here.
Internal components that go down that they may have to pull from the grid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I will tell you that the only challenge that any of the electrical systems in the United States has is supply of critical equipment. Idaho Power had the forethought to go purchase. PUC will not allow them to purchase large quantities of stuff because they pass that cost on to you unnecessarily. However, they're allowed to purchase stuff for backup stuff, right? So if they have a big transformer that goes out or whatever, they actually have a stock of that here at their maintenance shops. Okay, not everybody has that, you know, and they even had to go. So Idaho Power wants everything made in the United States if they can. That's their thing. They had to go outside the United States because of supply issues to make sure that they had the equipment. When it's made out there, they inspect it to make sure it's equivalent to what they have, because they have a certain spec that they want their stuff at. So we're pretty good. We're in good shape. Yeah. And the sewer and water, I mean, we'll just talk about that. They got capacity in the sewer system. We worry about people worry about the growth and impacting the capacity. We got capacity. We have plenty of water. We're one of the only units out here doing water that doesn't charge us a meter rate. They charge us a flat rate for water. I think Hank told me they figured 10,000 gallons a house a month,
1,000, yeah.
to utilize, which is a ton of water. A month? Yeah. For a family of 4. Yeah. So here and it was probably metered. It's probably metered, right? Yeah. So here you get 10,000 at a flat rate, right? So we have good problem. We have good problems here locally on that.
That have wells, they were getting ready to put a lock on our wells.
So you couldn't have any more water out of the ground? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got your water answer though.
Oh, you did get an answer? Okay.
Yeah. So the amount detected and the high and low range are going to be the same because those are tested throughout the year. The number you're comparing it to is the MCL. So like for instance, the MCL for arsenic is 10 is the max, and we're at 3.8. And so the average, the high and low range for that year is 3.8. So it wasn't that.
So we're well below.
So we can all sleep well and start tonight. We're taken care of.
You're taken care of on
We're safe,
everything.
We have clean water.
You're safe. You have clean water. You have plenty of power.
We were just looking at.
You're doing it.
Well, thank you. It's I will tell you, it's challenging sometimes. Well, but Dana's the one that has to keep me going though. And I don't sleep. Yeah, he sends me a message last night. Are you still up? 10:45. Gives me a phone call. Yeah, gives me a call. Oops.
So State Star, we typically are taking our dogs for a walk close to 10 p.m.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I will tell you, so if you guys, oh, sorry, Dana. I don't know, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of, I'm glad you said that. I'm going to talk about the parks here real quick. We have Freedom Park that's going on. We know we have challenges with several things. We've had to create some rules to make sure people abide by them because of the kids that were going down there. Some of the drinking and things, and we put some rules in place so that they can enforce that. We have some parking issues. We're working on a brand new parking lot down there. We just got to be patient. It'll be done. Some of the road got closed down there. I see social media posts about that. It was the city that had to close that road because we're pulling water and sewer and gas into a spot for a new facility in the future. So we don't have to tear up our roads later that we're putting in there, the asphalt. We're making sure that we're not hosing ourselves by spending money and then tearing it up and doing it again. Pavilion Park over here. Just today, I think they got all the last grass in that park. We had the basketball, pickleball, splash pad, dog park in that park. It's going to be a beautiful park over there. And I love seeing last night after I left here at 9:30ish somewhere, after our meeting, I went by there and it's cool to see kids with their families playing basketball over there at the pickleball courts, things like that. And that's the kind of stuff that we like. You can go walk on the streets. It's the most common thing I hear from people that have moved in here, that they're finally in a place where they feel safe for their kids going out. And you're doing it right if that's the case, right? Just like you guys are going for a walk. Greg and I go for walks in the morning. Now this week, he's killing me. He's making me walk 3 miles a morning, which is good for me. But we go for walks. We go down this way and you see people out early in the morning walking with their dogs. That's a beautiful thing, right? I was in Seattle last week. It made me really nervous going in certain areas of Seattle, right? And I'm like, that's where I take mental notes, like, that's not what I want here in Star. How can we make sure that we don't have that, right? So we're always finding ways to make certain our city stays safe and viable for everybody out there. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody ask a question online, Dana? Oh, and the one thing I wanted to talk about too is Jacob had me come and sign a vendor permit, or I mean not a vendor, what's our door-to-door? Soliciting permit. I want everybody to understand that if someone comes to your door, because it's happening a lot, and I love it when they come to my door, my house, they have to have a City of Star badge to be able to go door to door, unless you're a little kid selling Girl Scout cookies or you're on a campaign. But anybody that's selling, solar, lights in your eaves, bugs, all that stuff, they have to come and get licensed through our city clerk's office and make sure they're not criminal, all that kind of stuff. And when they get passed, they get a little badge with their picture on it and stuff that says that they're valid, and they're valid for a year. You could go online to our city website under the city clerk's office, I think, right? Under the vendor section, and it shows a list of vendors. If you have somebody that comes to your door that's not that way, just politely ask them to say, hey, you need to go to the city and get a permit. And I always tell these guys that protects both ways. It protects the citizens, my citizens of the Star, to make sure you're not a criminal. I'll tell them that you're not a criminal. It also protects you because the citizens know that, hey, you've been background checked with the City of Star and you're okay. Okay? So make sure, so if you know people, I mean, we get calls sometimes about vendor stuff, but if you can utilize our website as a tool and make sure that they have a badge, then they're good to go on that.
We had somebody stop trying to sell solar and
Yeah, you could say it.
we had somebody stop trying to sell solar and we didn't buy any, but we started talking to him. Said he was from California and I said, where? He goes, oh, a town you never heard of, called Merced. And I went, that's where we're from.
Did you know him?
No.
Did you buy
No,
solar?
except that we knew his grandpa owned a cafe downtown for many, many years.
Oh,
And
that's
I knew his
awesome.
grandpa, but not him.
It's a small world.
It is.
Even the vendors, or even the solicitors are coming here.
So just to add to this, the solicitor thing too, if you ever have somebody knock on your door and they get offended or get mad at you for not showing the badge they're supposed to have, don't hesitate to call that non-emergency dispatch number.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially as Star's growing pretty fast, I think people are worried that they either try to call a deputy they know or myself. And sometimes most of the time I answer the phone unless I'm out of town. But if you call that non-emergency dispatch number, I'd recommend saving it in your phone. We'll dispatch that's the quickest way to get a deputy dispatched to there, and they'll go talk to them. And we love Ring doorbells because then you can show us a picture of what the person looks like. Because we do have traveling crews that come through that case places, do some burglaries, and then head out of town. Now we've caught several, not in Star, but in Ada
Just to
County.
clarify that, it wasn't in
It
Star.
wasn't a Star. Wasn't a Star, but Eagle had quite a 2 or 3 groups so far this year, and then there's been other spots throughout Ada County. But it's nice to have that knowledge, if you guys will call that in, because then it gives us a picture of what the person looks like. Usually the Ring doorbell camera sometimes catches the car they're driving in. All that information, we share it with all the local agencies around here, and it's amazing how all the information can come together and put the pieces together for us to be able to stop this traveling crew coming through. So don't ever hesitate to call us. Please do.
Yeah, and
That's 208-377-6790.
And it's important also to make those calls so it's actually it's in our log
Yes.
for that as well. And because that helps us out with reports and seeing what's happening, and we can make adjustments and stuff like that as necessary on there. Cool. Any other questions or anything? I mean, we got lots going on in the city. I just encourage everybody to understand that growth is happening. We are seeing a minor slowdown right now in the number of building permits being requested. We have seen a big slowdown in entitlements of land, which is good. It helps us get a little bit of a reset. I just want everybody to understand that we can't just stop growth. It's not legal in Idaho to do that. We can't go out there and just put a moratorium on things just because we want to. We can't do that. The only time that we could do a moratorium is if our sewer and water has an issue, right? We don't have that issue here in Star. So we're just managing it the best we can with mitigation fees, impact fees to help pay for the new fire station. Those are things that taxpayers aren't paying for. That's being paid for by growth. We are looking to increase some of our impact fees, hopefully here in the future, but we have to go through a process for that. So when that happens, if you guys see that, I would be happy to have your support to help impact fees help pay for more stuff out there. When you look at fire, we were just talking this morning, fire trucks are now about $1 million when they were like $500,000 before. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, fire truck. We bought two of them. Middleton bought one, Star bought one, both at the same time, so we can get a little bit of a discount to buy two. And we paid $602,000 for those fire trucks, which is a lot of money. If I order those fire trucks today, 3 years later, it'll take me 2 years before they're delivered. And it's 1.1 million for the exact same fire truck.
So the cost of stuff is going up. Impact fees can't be used just to replace, I don't think, right?
Impact fees cannot be
Right.
used to replace like the apparatus that we have in service right now. So like the new fire station, impact fees are being used to build that fire station and put the equipment, fire trucks and brush truck or whatever we put in it, but not the people. So when we're asking for levy increase, it's for the people. It's the constant that always comes in every year, so we can keep those folks. I've heard during the levy increase that, you know, that the developer should be paying for those people. And they can't, because they're going to come in and they're going to develop 100 lots or 200 lots or whatever. They're going to pay their one-time fee to get the building and the fire truck in it. But the people has to come from the property tax. And when we were capped at 8% and we're growing at 16%, we're leaving 8% on the table. And we can't build budget authority to keep those folks. I have to hire 9 people to open up a fire
So
station.
what was your question? So so I will tell you, yes, by all the work that he's done with the fire chiefs in the state of Idaho and what we're doing as a city. I'm the legislative liaison for the Association of Idaho Cities now. I've been working with the cities. He's been working with the fire. I've been working with the BCA and the realtors to try to get a coalition of folks together to push the legislature to make that change to allow growth to pay for itself. You know, the intent for them at the time was to try to reduce property taxes for everybody, right? Which were the third lowest in the country, by the way, right? When I hear people tell me what it was in California when they come here, that's all. I'm like, really? What was it, you know, over there, right? But that's a necessary evil to make certain that the personnel are paid for. That's how your safety stays. You have to pay for that. We just got to get him to make some minor adjustments and make certain that he has the levy authority and doesn't have to come and ask you as a taxpayer to totally increase your levy like he has to do on there.
No, I hate it. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that
It's not what we
have to
wanna
go
do.
out for a levy increase makes me sick.
No.
Yes.
Oh, his thing? Yes, his will be on there. So be advocates for it.
We're going to be on it until we pass it. I mean, even if we are successful at getting House Bill 389, we're never going to get it repealed. But if we can get it fixed so it funds police and fire and EMS, we can never get the money back that we lost.
Yeah.
And we were like 1.2 million, 1.3 million up to this budget cycle. Now we're just under $2 million. So one of the questions that people ask is, if you only lost a $1.5 million, why are you asking for $2.5 million? I mean, that's a reasonable question, because we have absolutely no guarantee that we're ever going to fix this cap and fictitious levy rate and the whole 9 yards that goes with it. And once we ask you for a levy increase, our chances in 2 years to come back and ask you for another is going to be slimmer than the last one. So we don't have to take it. So I'll just give you the best case scenario. In November, we pass a levy increase of 2.25 million, and we fix funding for police, fire, and EMS. I will make a promise that we, as a fire district, both fire districts, will not take all of that we can take. There would be no reason for us to take it. We would take exactly what we need to get caught back up, and then we would move forward. But just because we get the increase does not mean we have to take it all.
Which is a different philosophy than where you came from. I promise you that. That's exactly what I hear all the time. But that's,
The other thing that was interesting to learn is, and maybe this is part of your folks' reality, or maybe it isn't, is that a lot of people that have moved here had a mortgage where they lived, and they came to Idaho and they paid cash for their house. And they've never had to write a check for property tax before because they had a mortgage. And they think their property taxes are so expensive, but they never knew what they paid where they came from because it was figured into their mortgage. A couple people that were very angry and came and wanted to have more conversation. When we dug into it and found out how much they paid in property tax, they left a little quiet. Because they had no idea they paid $12,000 to $15,000 a year for a half of the house that they pay here $4,000 a year for.
We have a mortgage.
okay.
We're just
Well,
this poor here.
well, welcome. Dana, anybody online asking anything? No? Okay. All right. Well, you guys have any more questions or anything that's,
Soon you'll surpass Rudy Giuliani being America's mayor.
oh.
You.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, if there's nothing else, I appreciate you guys coming. If you guys want to come in, we do it once a month. I think we're going to adjust the date. Oh, that's right. He has his tomorrow meeting. So we're just going to end it, Dana, and just say, thank everybody online for listening out there, and we will see everybody next month.